Alright, in this Learn in the Groove tutorial, we're going to explore some right-hand improvisation ideas over a G7 chord progression in a swinging 16th funk style. So the idea is we're going to build up some ideas, we're going to do some call and response exercises. So I'll play a bit, you play a bit, and we'll make music together, yeah? Alright, you can either imitate my ideas or just use it as inspiration to create your own banger lines. But whatever happens, this beat will keep going, so you can keep practicing in the pocket and learn in the groove. Here we go. Let's first look at the subdivision. So we're feeling the beat like this. A 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can divide that beat in 4. So 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and can hear how those 16th notes are swinging. So if we look at the sheet music, we've got that kind of triplet notation, but best practice is just to write swinging 16s up the top and we just write it straight. But if you don't follow sheet music, don't worry, let's just use your ear. The sheet music examples are only intended as a rough guide anyway. So feel that swing. Awesome. So that's the subdivision. Let's look at what the chord progression is. We're going to go from G7 to C7 every bar. Like that. And we'll learn how to solo over that. So what my left hand's going to do is the shell voicing, which is the essential notes of the chord, apart from the root. I don't need to play the root because the root's in the bass line of the recording. So I've got my 7th and my 3rd of the G7 there, and then I'm going to go to the 3rd and the 7th of the C7 there. And what's great about these shell voicings is they're right next to each other. Play it with me in your left hand. Keep feeling it in that pocket, yeah. If I want to thicken up the texture, I can add these extra notes, making it a G13 and a C9. Alright, let's look at the right hand. We're going to look at the G Mixolydian scale. This is a scale that underpins the whole key center. So I want you to think about it in numbers. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1. Just like a G major scale, but we've got the flattened 7 there. Alright, and we're going to explore all these scale degrees so we get to understand the effect they have, get to understand the sound they have. Because if you get how they work, you'll be able to express yourself better in improvisation. Here we go. And your turn. Just make some phrases round that root note. And your turn. You can hear it sounds like home bass, that tone. So we'll end phrases on that, start phrases on that. It's good use of the root. Now let's look at the second. So it's got a very unfinished sound, a very modal sound. Behind the beat. Good. Alright, let's look at the 3rd, the strongest harmonic tone. And you'll notice when we get to that C7, we've got to flatten that third because that's part of the chord. And your turn. Let's play with that third. Your turn. Let's look at the fourth. Now the fourth wants to resolve. Yeah, your turn. So by itself it sounds very unresolved, so it wants to land on the third. Your turn. That was the fourth. Now let's look at the fifth. Very strong sound, the fifth. We could go up as well. Alright, now we'll flatten the fifth and we get this really cool sound. That's actually called the blues note. Have a little play with the blues note. So flattening that 5. Alright, that's the 5th. Let's look at the 6th. Here we go. And cool, you have a play. I like to think of it as a bit of a bounce note, so it kind of is good at bouncing between the root. Your turn. And I like to kind of go into that flat third. That's a pretty cool sound to get under your fingers. And last one. Let's look at the 7th, and your turn. So you can hear it leads really well into the root. That's it. We can also head downwards with the 7th. That was all the scale degrees. Now we're going to explore the G minor pentatonic scale. And that is these two shapes. G, B flat, C. D, F, G. So same shape. So that's called the G minor pentatonic. And we've also got the blues scale that's related to this. And the only difference with the blues scale is we add this middle note here. It's that flat 5 that we looked at before. It's actually called the blues note. Minor pentatonic and blues scale. Hear the difference? Not much, just one note, yeah. And we use pentatonic scales because it's an easy scale to the ear. It's great to create hooks and ground your solo and get your audience on board. Alright, let's create some improvisation using the blues scale. 3, 4. turn. Your turn. Scale. Now I'm going to continue on with ideas, but if you want to just keep soloing with that scale or any of the ideas that we do, that's absolutely fine. But I'm going to plow on and show you some more ideas, but you just do what you need to do to make this video valuable for you. Minor scale was a great sound, but after all, we are in a G7 sort of chord progression. So where's that major third in all this? Well, we can use the G Major Pentatonic scale, so we can hear that major third. So it is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. And just like the blues scale from before, I like to add this extra note in here just to get a bluesy sort of sound. I think of it as like the major blues note, just the flat 3. And you've probably noticed I've played that flat 3 a lot already in the earlier examples. So let's make some sounds with our G Major Pentatonic scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I always have to play the B flat when we get to the C7. Your turn. There's our G Major Pentatonic sound. Alright, let's move on, and I'm going to talk about rhythms. So underpinning this subdivision, it's actually derived from the triplet. So the only thing is we're not playing that middle note when we're playing our semiquavers. That's how we're feeling it. But it's actually all derived from triplets. So we can actually start adding triplets into our phrases. So we could use them to link other 16s, or we could string them together. So let's call and response with triplets. Here we go. Your turn. Stringing them together sounds like this. And I can also go down the scale. So that's the triplet idea. Let's look at turns now. So we've got a phrase like this. I'm just going to slow it down. I'll play it half speed. But instead of just playing it like that, on the second one we're going to do a turn. So instead of that second B flat, we're squishing 3 notes in there in that place of 1. So I'll go 3, 4, 3, 2, and back up. So we'll hear that turn. And you don't just have to do turns with 3 notes. You could do like a little 2-note phrase. That's that second one. 1, 2. All right, let's do some turns in call and response. Here we go. And turn. Let's do the 2-note one and the 3-note one. Alright, so that was turns. Now the next 4 ideas involves playing 2 notes or at once, or more at once. And this is called thickening up the texture of the sound. So we could take a phrase like this and we'll look at double stops. So all we're doing is we're taking a phrase and adding a note at the top. And that's called our double stop. Let's do some call and response with double stops. And your turn. Now it doesn't always have to be the root on top, it could be the flat 7. And I'll show you another example with the 6. Right, so that's double stops. Let's look at harmonic intervals. So I'm just going to take some thirds and make some patterns with that. Your turn. Your turn. Let's do some more. But that's alright. Now let's look for fourths. And that's playing the fourth interval together. But let's do some call and response. Your turn. Every now and then I like to use 2 fingers, 2 hands. So that's playing fourths together. Alright, so if we want a big sound, we can use an octaves. Here we go, and your turn. And if we want a thickish sound, we can add the 5th in the between of the octave and play it with the rootless voicing. See how that gives it a really nice thick sound. Your turn. Awesome. Now let's look at parallel chords. That's where we could take this shape up the scale of the G Mixolydian. Remember, it's all white notes. And we could also play with First inversion shapes as well, where we just change that middle note. We could do all sorts of combinations with that. So that could be a cool thing to chuck into your solo. 3, 4. Your turn. Go down the scale like this. So just kind of alternating those first and second inversion shapes. Awesome, so there's some ideas to thicken up the texture in your solo. Great thing to do near the end of the solo, or when you want it to climax, when you want to build the dynamics and intensity. Thickening up the texture really helps. But let's go back to some line ideas. So I like to think of some approaches so I don't just go up and down the scale all the time. So a very simple one to think about is a sequence. So sequence is where you take like an idea, like a step down, and then you just copy it going up or down the scale. So I could do it like this. Or all sorts of rhythms. I'll show you a 4-note one that I'm thinking about. Alright, let's do some call and response. And your turn. And maybe a triplet one. And you don't always have to go down to up to down. We could do this kind of vibe. Sorry, I missed my call and response. Here we go. And so just get creative with the patterns that you can create. Alright, now let's talk about chromatic movement. So we've talked a lot about staying in that G Mixolydian scale, but we can add any sort of note to the scale if it's kind of leading to a target note. So this little one I've noted. So we can kind of just go in these chromatic movements between notes as we need to. Okay, let's do some chromatic movements. I'll do the written one first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your turn. Add some triplets. Making sure I'm trying to resolve on a strong tone. And you don't have to play as much as that, but that's just to give you an idea of chromatic movement. Now let's look at enclosures. An enclosure is basically having a target note like the B here, and we're going to go above, below, target. So we could do like that. We can actually extend on that idea, so we could have a 1 note above and 2 notes below like this. Or we could even have 2 notes above, 1 note below like this. takes a bit of getting used to. But let's just do some call and response with some enclosures as our idea. And your turn. And your turn. Take a bit of getting used to. They're great sound. Okay, so that's the idea of enclosures. So like I said, with all of these ideas, take them around, explore them, but I'm going to keep going just to give you some more options. Alright, we've got our arpeggios. So thinking in terms of scale. Chord, I mean. So what I'm thinking there is a D minor triad over the G7. So what I'm going to do is a G minor triad over the C7 because that works a bit better. Your turn. And there's other arpeggios, I'm just showing one to give you an idea. Just that idea of thinking in chord. And of course you can link it up with other ideas as well. But that's the idea of arpeggios. Now what improvisers like to do, just to create a bit more tension, is to think about outside the key. So they'll do some phrases that are kind of outside the key. Just to create a bit of tense sound where the ear goes whoa, and then you kind of resolve it back into the key. So I'm going to show you two ways we can think outside, and one is with those arpeggio ideas. And I want you to think of chord shapes that are a little bit out of the box. So we're going to use D flat major for this one to give you the idea. So let's have a little play with that. And your turn. So just thinking in D flat major. Now to emphasize the sound too, we can actually raise our left hand up. So you see I'm just kind of raising it a semitone. D flat major as an idea. We can use E flat major. Just trying to make sure it lands as well. We'll do one more of those. And using some enclosures and chromaticism to mask a bit too. Now the other thing I can do is think in terms of scale. And I'm going to think in terms of A flat major because it's a semitone above G. And we'll do this. And your turn. Techniques have given you some ideas there, but let's talk about how we link it all together. So It's one thing to kind of bring out all your ideas in the first 4 bars, but what will happen is you've got nowhere to go, nowhere to build from that. So I want you to think about building a solo, starting out small and ending up big. I'm going to give you an example of this. This is just my ideas. Use it as inspiration for your own, and I'll give you a go in a second, but I'll do a full solo here. 1, 2, 3, and... So I'm just leaving space, keeping it simple. Now I might increase the intensity with double stops. And chromaticism. Okay, so there's an idea of building up a solo. It's your turn. Simplicity in space. Okay, let's increase the intensity. This tutorial, and check the links in the description for extra resources and lessons related to this one. You're all legends. Thanks for supporting this channel. I hope you got something out of this.